Hi, I'm Scott from Bago Games, and today I'm here with
Nick from SciTech Game.
and we're going to have a little talk about Windlands 2. So, firstly, could you tell us a little bit about Windlands?
So it's a sequel to Windlands 1, naturally, which was we made a few years back, and it's a game where you were sort of going around the world with Spider-Man type hooks, and that's how you traverse the world and explore it. In Windlands 2, we're basically ramping that up. We've added in multiplayer, so you can join in cooperatively with friends and go through the world. The general setting is that this is a post-apocalyptic world, but very far in the future, where humans are kind of trying to re-establish themselves and rebuild the world. And they keep coming up against these old war machines that are left over, and every now and then they wake up. So you as a character are one of these hunters who go around taking out these robots. And so, yeah, that's the goal. But at the same time, on this particular island, there are more machines than usual, and there's a mystery going on there and a storyline that you'll uncover as you go.
So, with the storyline, obviously, there's no being VR and stuff. There's no real kind of cutscene-y kind of based things. You've always got full control. Can you tell us a bit about the kind of the storytelling in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't want anyone to have to stop or stand still. You don't really actually want people to read too much. And the game isn't really about that. It's about making your way through the game and doing the whole mechanic and shooting your bow and arrow to take out robots, and also doing that with other people if you're playing multiplayer. So the story elements are those sort of things where there will be fully voiced characters in the game, and they will give you missions to go on or update you about the situation, or just there are kind of cutscenes that happen, but they're purely happen in the world around you. So I mean, something like Half-Life 2 or that sort of storytelling where you can still walk around, still engage with it as you like. But yeah, it's an interesting challenge, especially when it's quite an open world and you can kind of go freely, and it's like over hundreds of meters quite quickly. So making sure that's designed in such a way that people will catch the storytelling correctly and watch it play out and all that sort of stuff. That's an interesting challenge.
So, obviously, it's VR. So, why did you want to go for the kind of VR type of game?
Sure, well, we're a VR-only games company, so that's all we're really interested in. But when we started out doing a dungeon crawler called Crystal Rift, and we were really excited about the idea of taking an older style game and kind of porting it into VR, and I say porting, like developing it for VR. And then we met these guys, Ilya and Simo, and they'd created this really great early start to the development process on the original Windlands. And we said to them, look, we really love it, and we could help you, and you could bring the game to us. And so they did. They joined the team, and then we finished off Windlands 1. And then, yeah, that was purely it. This was a really interesting VR mechanic. At the time, there were no motion controls. So it was purely based on where you were looking, and you had a gamepad. And you would use the shoulder triggers to fire each bow, which was really, again, it really worked well at the time. But now we have motion controllers, and you can purely use your hands, and you don't even have to look. You can just, know where you're going. And that also helps with motion sickness, because when you had to aim with your face, you had to look quite quickly, and that doesn't help. But with the controllers and the way we have it, it's incredibly comfortable now. And I get motion sick quite easily, but I don't get motion sick in this at all.
It's a very smooth game. A lot of the developers have been saying how much smoother and how much of an improvement it is over Windlands 1.
Yeah, we did a lot of work. We learned a lot of lessons, and we wanted to improve every stage of that. And part of that is the character controller, the way literally there's about 20 different things involved in the way it's moving, the way the hook mechanic works, the way swinging happens. And we've just changed a lot of that and improved the way that works entirely. So yeah, it's not one single thing, it's quite a lot of things that add up together.
So what can people who have played Windlands 1 expect to be changed in Windlands 2?
Sure, well, the whole art style has been completely overhauled, revamped. We got some really great designers in to bring in things like characters who are quite cartoony, and the whole style is more colourful, I think, more variety of colour, and just an overall really nicely designed world. And then as part of that storytelling itself, we got an actual storyline and quests and that kind of thing. Multiplayer is probably the most significant difference I think people might find. They enjoyed doing the time trial type things in the original, We've got a load more of that sort of thing, but now, of course, you can race against other people and see them go around you. It's really fun to like be in the world with other people and wave at them, or just sort of see them swinging off. And then finally, the combat with the bow and arrow to take on the robots. That's another big feature which we're really happy is working really well.
So obviously you mentioned the art style. Then it's a very colourful, vibrant world. What was the kind of inspiration for that?
Well, the first game, it was pure, I think, mostly it was purely like the demands of VR mean that a more cartoony, low-poly art style is very friendly for VR. But also because when something is actually designed and thought about, rather than just going purely realistic, it can just be more effective in VR as well, or just in any game or anything, really. So when it came to Windlands 2, we wanted to push that further and have a more kind of, just more stylized world, more cartoony, more of an actual, original look to it that was really distinctive. And working with the artists, we were able to get together. They sort of came to us with concepts for particular elements, and we were immediately, that's brilliant. We're definitely, everything you're doing is awesome. Let's do that.
And obviously, as you mentioned, there's multiplayer in this one. How has that changed the way the levels in the game has been designed?
So we have to cater for like up to 4 people, but also like single players as well. So it was a lot of play testing, a lot of iteration, and trying to figure out, because obviously if one character is giving you a quest to go do something, we need to ensure that everyone can like understand that's the current goal. Someone might be 200 meters down the way or stuck at the start or whatever it is. And we came up with a number of ways to do that, whether it's waypoints, like little glowy things saying go here. And of course you can speak to people over voice over IP. So if someone's lost or confused or stuck, they can say, well, where are you? And that kind of communication has really helped. We've certainly seen it here today, with people cooperating and like being together in the world. In general, other terms like the difficulty level, certain things like how many hits a robot will take. So there's certain other challenges later that require certain skills to get past, and those will scale depending on how many people are currently playing as well.
So the game itself is currently still in development. What can we expect to see added into the game before launch?
So before launch, we got the rest of the world to make. It's quite, we're hoping for it to be like 5 or 6 hours of gameplay, and lots more robots, lots more challenges, lots more, just generally all the good stuff that we've been showing today, just more of that.
So we got a little bit into like the kind of world and the story, but can you tell us a bit more about the kind of like lore of the world and the...
Yeah. So in the past there was it's kind of lost to history a bit. Presumably like a couple of 1,000 years ago, there was what is now termed as a mad demon who had taken over the world and had war machines which he used to enslave all the people. He came to the world that we are now on, bringing human slaves. But there were these lizard tribe people who were already living there. But among the humans, there's a certain genetic marker that allows you to control the robots and control the powers. And that made these sort of heroes with these who could be, who could use their powers to take down the robots. And now, in the future, there are still those people who are born, and you are now these hunters that go around like taking down the robots instead. And that kind of thing.
So obviously one of the big additions from Windlands 1 to Windlands 2 is the combat mechanic.
Yep.
Why did you want to add combat into the game?
I think it was something from the first game. A lot of people would come to us with suggestions of what they'd like to see. And I think immediately it was things like, I'd love to go around it with other people. And one of the other things was like, they're quite like a bit more, because the original game was very just exploratory, and very kind of calm and a relaxing sort of exploration game. I think people they were like, well, why don't we have some weapons and have some things to shoot while we're up there? And I think from that, it was like, because it was one of the big things people wanted, it became obvious very quickly it's something we should consider. And then it was like, all right, well, how are we doing? Well, we don't want guns. Guns don't feel quite right. But maybe a bow and arrow would be a really good mechanic. And in VR, bow and arrows they're good fun. And we're still working on ways to make it, like, improve it and that. But at the same time, we didn't want to make it like a bunch of different weapons and all that. We wanted to kind of keep that as a pure mechanic. But because you design the game that way, you can ensure that everything works with that in mind.
So obviously, as you've just said, you kind of get quite a lot of community feedback from the first Windlands one. How much of that feedback kind of fed into the development cycle of Windlands 2?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Basically, adding characters in, a bit more of a story as well. The first game has a story, but it's a very slight story, and it's there basically to give a framing to the world that you're in. But for this one, we really wanted to push that as far as we could, and adding voice characters is important because no one wants to read. So it's good to have people talk to you, and cinematic moments as well. At the start, you're on a boat heading towards the island. It's like skipping across the sand, and then a great big sandworm crashes out of the sand and dives next to you. And I think we're trying to add in these sort of cinematic moments as well, as much as possible throughout the game.
So the development team for this, how big the team working on this game?
So depending on what stage of the development we've been at, we've scaled between about 6 people and up to 20 people at the most intense part of the development, and we're scaling back down now as we reach the end of development. But yeah.
So how long has the game been in development?
About 2 years now from start, and we should be finished sometime around summer. We're hoping to bring it out.
So obviously the game is intended for VR, so it's going to be out on the Oculus. Are you planning to really roll it out to other VR?
Yeah, it's going to be on the Oculus first for a short time exclusively, because Oculus have supported us. And then, but a short time after that, we're going to release basically on PlayStation, Vive, Windows Mixed Reality, all the other headsets.
And if we wanted to keep up with the development of Windlands 2, where would we find you?
Windlands.com is the best place, but we're also on Twitter. You just search for SciTech Games or Windlands, and very easy to find.
Okay, thank you very much. And how much could people expect to pay for Windlands 2?
So we don't have a price point set at the moment, but certainly we want something very indie friendly sort of pricing. We've got to figure out the exact price point, but not too expensive. The right price point.
The right price. Okay, thank you very much. Remember to keep up to date with us at BegoGames.com. We're also on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook at Bego Games. Thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you all for more Rezzed footage to come. Thank you.